Good evening and welcome to episode 361 of the Gersnet Podcast. It's Friday the 25th of October and we're going out live, but of course you can pick us up afterwards on the various different places where you could get your podcast. I'm your host tonight, I'm John McCallum. We will be looking ahead to Sunday's match against St Mirren, and of course we'll look back to last night's very, very enjoyable Europa League victory over Steaua Bucharest, as I'm still calling them, although I think officially they're not allowed to call themselves that. It's not, of course, not just the podcast we have here at Gersnet. We also have a forum, articles, social media, and a big history archive. And of course, Gersnet is the Rangers podcast that is made by fans for fans. None of this is possible without our sponsors, who are Forrest Precision Engineering. They are, of course, a big subcontract Glasgow-based engineering company, and they've been a commercial sponsor of Rangers for many, many years, and we are delighted that they are backing our pod tonight. You can find out more about them at forrestprecisioneng.com. And what might be of more interest to you is the Forrest Precision Executive Lounge, which is a hospitality area in the main stand at Ibrox. And for more information on how you can book that, or to find out just a little bit more about it, you can contact the club directly at hospitality@rangers.co.uk. Okay, that's the formalities over. It's a Friday night. Grant, you'll have a big smile on your face after last night. You'll have been basking in the glow of a Europa League victory, and then tonight they put you on with me. So it's a bit like Rangers season, bits of good and then bits of bad, bits of good and bits of bad. I don't know, you're far too young to remember this, but one of my favourite ever Rangers games, I didn't actually realise it was on this day, and it was what was then a Skull Cup final, the League Cup final, and Rangers v Aberdeen, and we drew 3 each, and we beat them in penalties, and it was arguably Ian Durrant's finest ever game for Rangers. He scored one. He scored the winning penalty. He just was involved in everything. That game was just one of his wonderful games. And I was reminded, I watched the highlights of it, or I watched the goals from it earlier on tonight. And it's funny looking at it. You had all three Rangers goal scorers. Two boys who came through the academy, Robert Fleck and Ian Durrant, and then David Cooper. Cooper scored that famous free kick. Just one of the greatest free kicks ever taken in any tournament. He just thunders it into the top corner. It was past Jim Leighton and back out again, and that was a good Aberdeen team at the time. So that's what happened tonight. Anyway, how are you, and how's your week been, and how are things?
Yeah, a lot more cheer tonight, John, than I was after Sunday's showing. So yeah, good result last night, good performance. So yeah, just keep it going, see what happens on Sunday, and then the big one midweek, so next Wednesday up at Pittodrie. So yeah, a lot more cheerier. I'm looking forward to talking about the game instead of talking about results that haven't gone our way recently. So yeah,
let's not dwell on the past. Well, let's dwell on it for the next 20 minutes or so, and let's talk about last night's game. Look, let's just jump straight into like that. The starting lineup, there was a couple of changes in that. Proper and Diomande dropped out, with Balogun and Raskin coming in. Now, it's always difficult when you do this the next day because you're aware of the result and the performance. But without hindsight, when that starting 11 came out, what was your initial reaction?
I'm never surprised by a Philip Clement's team selection. I think I've got 2 right in the last year since he's been here, so I kind of expected it. I put my team out the day before on our social media. I had basically the same, except for I had Diomande in for Lawrence. I did expect Balogun to come in for Proper, just because he was taken off at the weekend and maybe he was carrying a slight knock or whatever. It's just don't take the risk just now, because we can't afford to lose some players just now. So I did expect Balogun to come in. Nico Raskin, I did expect him to come in as well after getting a couple of minutes the game before. So yeah, I was pretty happy with it. Diomande for Lawrence, but no, I think the team really picked itself, to be honest with you. We're kind of forced into a change with Proper, but yeah, I was happy to go with that. I wasn't sure if we were going to maybe play Casemiro at left back and push Jeffrey further forward to the left wing, just because just for a change. But no, I was pretty happy with it. I thought, you know what, it's funny, I quite like Big Balogun. I do like Big Balogun, so I was good. I was happy to see him in. I think he's been pretty harshly dealt with. I don't think he's got as many games as he should have got. I know he's been out with injury and stuff like that, but he's a leader, and he never barely lets us down at the back there, and he's solid, he's quick. So I was happy to see him, and I was happy to see Raskin as well in there. So no qualms with the team selection.
I was surprised Diomande went to the bench. I mean, they could have dropped all of them after the Kilmarnock game. There was none of them that got past marks. So had he put out a different starting 11 completely, then I think you could just have nodded along and said, yeah, they had that coming. So I was a little surprised. Proper, like you say, he'd picked up an injury, he'd gone off. It wasn't a huge surprise that he didn't start. But I was a little surprised it was Diomande that dropped out. Obviously, with hindsight, turned out to be a good change, but I was a little surprised at that. I didn't think he was by any means the worst. But like a number of players, he looked really good when he came to Rangers at first, Diomande, and it's kind of dropped off recently. And I don't know if that's just other teams becoming familiar with him, if it's just a symptom of a team that's not playing particularly well all the time. But I thought it was a little harsh, and I was glad he came on in the second half because he's a player I like. But at the same time, Raskin took his chance. He absolutely took his chance. And we'll talk about Raskin and Barnett in a wee minute. But before we get to that, I've actually said this on here before. Napoleon was once asked what he looks for in his generals, and he answered, I looked for lucky generals. And I thought we got a wee bit lucky with the Butland episode at the start of the match, when he dawdled and got caught and the boy stuck the ball in the net. I was very relieved when it was chalked off, but I have to say it felt lucky to me. What was your take on it? Are you fully accepting that he was clinically fouled, or did you think it was a touch lucky as well?
No, John, I think it was assault, to be honest with you. No, I'm kidding on. It should have stood. It should have stood. I mean, I don't think the boy even touches him, to be honest. He just dallies in the ball. Butler's done that a few times, actually. He did it against, I think it was Hibs. He get caught, remember? He get caught and he tried to clear it, and the boy almost scored. It hit off him and passed the post. So he's got previous for that. And it kind of sums up our play as well. Just slow. The last couple of weeks have been slow. Everything's slow. I mean, he had plenty of time in the ball. He dallied. He did an easy pass out to the left, and he just dallied on it. And yes, we got away with one without a doubt. I mean, the boy doesn't touch him. He doesn't touch him, and the acting skills were outstanding for the referee to buy it. But
he's up for an Emmy at the end of the season.
Yeah, if the referee lets that go and he puts it away, I don't think VAR gets involved, to be honest with you. So yeah, we got lucky with that one for me.
Yeah, I thought we did as well. And, Grant, it might not mean anything in the scheme of things, but it might be the moment our luck's changed, because I don't feel we've carried much luck for a while now. And it might just be the moment our luck has changed. And we've needed a change of luck. And when you look at it, Bucharest won a wonderful team. I don't think Romanian football is at a massively high standard, but it's certainly on a par with Scottish football. Potentially a banana skin. But by all accounts, they've got a derby, and they came out of a derby on the weekend. They got another derby this weekend. Their slightly erratic owner was apparently suggesting they rest some players. So maybe we just got lucky. Maybe that was the game we needed, and that was the incident where our luck changes. So I guess we just got to see. What wasn't lucky was our first goal. I thought Lawrence worked pretty hard in the first half. I thought he had a pretty decent first half, and obviously he now, I don't know, I haven't heard anything kind of late afternoon into the evening, so I haven't heard any update on his injury. But having seen it today, it kind of looks like one of these ones that could be out for a wee while. I don't know if he's kind of done knee ligaments or if it's just a twist, and it's maybe only going to be out for a few days. I don't know, but it wouldn't be a huge surprise to me if he turns out he's actually out for a wee bit longer than that. And he's kind of become our new Mr. Thursday Night. He seems to enjoy the European football. He seems to do a bit more there. He's a kind of one of these players that maybe polarises the support a little bit. I do speak to people who just don't. I don't say they don't rate him, but they just think, nah, he doesn't turn up for the big games. He's a guy who can be totally anonymous in some games, and in other games, then you get flashes, and then you get a game like last night where I thought he was probably, arguably, our most creative player in the first half. Do you think he'll be much of a miss for us if he's out for a period? He's certainly been almost ever present this season for us.
Yeah, I mean, he has been the last month or so. He's been in form. He's scoring goals. He scored an absolute worldie against Hibs as well to win us the game. So he has been chipping in with his goals recently. You know, he never seems to score a bad goal, actually, does it? It's always outside the box or a cracker from the corner, whatever. So it will be a miss. Again, I've not heard anything about if he's going to be out for a while or not. There's obviously no press conference before St Mirren this week, so we'll just need to wait and see. But again, we've got players to cover in there. We've got Bajrami, who is a number 10, we're told. And we've got Diomande that can play in there as well. So we have got cover, but he's the kind of guy that gets you goals, and I don't think Bajrami or Diomande, well, they haven't so far, can give us that just now. So yeah, it will be a miss. But yeah, I do agree with other people. He does go missing in big games just because maybe his work rate, he doesn't have the legs like for the midfield three to get about and hassle like Raskin and Barron were doing last night. You know, he doesn't have that engine, the legs. The talent's
He's
not
a different type of player, though. He's a more creative player than either of those two. And I honestly don't think Diomande is a number 10, but it wouldn't be a huge surprise if you suddenly start seeing him playing there. I don't think he is that kind of attacking midfielder. Yeah,
I mean, Lawrence is a different kind of player, but you still need to do the hard work, the donkey work and stuff like that, especially the big games against Celtic in Europe when they do press forward and their midfield three do get forward. So yeah, I know he does get forward, does support Dessers, he does link up well with Czerny and Bajrami, and he does score goals, so he will be a miss, but we'll just need to wait and see how long he's out for. He took his goal brilliantly. The cut back from Czerny first time straight, I mean, how many times have you seen people do that and hit the stand roof with it? So it was a good goal, took it well, and he got a bit of luck. Talk about luck, got a bit of luck with it. The keeper just couldn't get to it. So yeah, he will be a miss. We'll wait and see how long he's out for, but hopefully it's not as bad as we're all expected to be, because every time we get an injury, it's always long term, isn't it?
Yeah. There was some curve on the shot. It was quite something. I mean, the goalie's been criticised, but I do think initially he thought it was going well past. And it really took. It was quite a bend that was on it. So I actually quite like Lawrence. I think Lawrence is a decent player, and I think a lot of what he does, but doesn't always come off. And I think if he was playing with a better centre forward, I think he would a better number 9. We would see more from Lawrence. I think at times that's part of the issue. But anyway, another player that I think polarises us sometimes. I think polarises too harsh, but certainly he's a player who is hot and cold. Is Czerny. His first goal, a horrible piece of defending and a wonderful finish. His second goal was a delight from start to finish. A passing move. It reminded me of the goal that it was Kamara scored against Benfica, where we kind of played it from our own box all the way up the field, pass, and then a really, really nice finish. And he's another player that he can frustrate. He's a player that you could see the ability last night, and the way he took both his goals, and he was involved in a few other nice things for us as well. Obviously, the cutback for Lawrence's goal, but he's another player that goes missing. He's another player that there are games where he just seems to he can't get the ball past the first man. How do we get the best out of Czerny? Do we just need to wait? Does it just need to settle? Is it just a case of, he's still fairly new, he still hasn't maybe entirely found his feet? Be patient. Bloody hell, McCallum, you're moaning and groaning. The guy's only played about 10 games for us. He just scored 2 goals in the Europa League, and here's me asking how we can get a bit more out of him. But do you know what I mean? He is a kind of player that just kind of doesn't always come off, which can be a bit frustrating.
Yeah, I get that. Well, the difference was last night he was doing everything that he should be doing. He hadn't been doing recently. He was pressing, he was being direct, he was putting pressure on the opposition. But I also noticed as well last night he was coming inside a lot more. He was playing as a kind of off the number 10 and letting Tavernier go up the right hand side. So he wasn't playing as an out and out winger. I don't know if your wingers are meant to be fast and go past the last man, but I don't know if that's his game, because he seems to come inside a lot. He's got a great left foot. So he was playing a lot further in the field last night. And his first goal, that's where it comes from. He's right over in the middle, number 10. We win the ball back, and he drives through in a great curling with his right foot this time from the edge of the box. It was a great finish. And even before that, he was right up for it from the word go, because he made a tackle or lost the ball or something, and he started going this and getting the crowd going. it just gives you a bit of spark. And there was something different from him last night. He was more electric. There was just something about him, and he was up for it. So yeah, he was a lot better last night. The second goal, his second goal was brilliant football, wasn't it? Middle of the park, good ball, and behind, and great finish as well. Like he just takes the boy for a hot dog. Great finish, but we know he's got that. He's got talent. Like you don't play for the Czech Republic national team if you don't have talent. Let's be honest. So and you don't get signed for £12 million either. So yeah, I like Tierney. He is hot and cold. He's inconsistent, but wingers are inconsistent, aren't they? And we've been inconsistent this whole season. And you can see in domestic games, there's always two guys on him. They're doubling up on them as well. So he was playing a different role last night, kind of further inside, letting Tavernier go up the right-hand side. So yeah, maybe that's something to look forward to. But yeah, I enjoyed his game last night. And for me, he was man of the match. He scored 2 and made 1, so he's got to get the man of the match for me. But he's got to do it more often.
He has to do it more often. They all have to do it more often. And the part of the frustration, I think, is you see a game like that from him and you think, well, this is, he's the guy that could, drive the team forward. He's the guy that build it around, and then he goes missing for two games. I think, talking serious for a second here, Grant, hair transplant though, eh? I mean, it's about time. I mean, he's a professional football player.
You're talking to me?
No. That you've got your camera angled from below, so we can't actually tell if you need a hair transplant or not. And that's quite cunning. Well done. But professional football player, he must have a bucket of money. He's got to be getting a hair transplant or something there. I mean, that's a poor show from the young man.
Maybe if we draw somebody in the playoff round in Turkey, he might get one when he's over there.
Just get one when he's over there. Yeah, if we get Fenerbahce or something later.
That's it. Yeah. Get his teeth done as well.
You said that for you, Tierney was man of the match. I actually thought that it was Barton or Raskin. I thought the two of them were the difference last night from Sunday's game. I wrote my notes that they played like men possessed at times. Their closing down was as good as I've seen this season. They were winning the ball back so quickly every time we lost it, and we did lose it quite a bit. It was by no means a flawless performance last night. I don't think anybody who watches Rangers regularly is fooled by last night. Last night was a great game and really enjoyable, but there were still mistakes that a better team, frankly, would have punished us for. But I don't think you can complain too much about Raskin and Barn. They brought energy to the team last night. Now, that was the big difference, I think, last night compared to 3 or 4 of our performances in the last month or so. There was an energy there, a drive, and I really felt it came from those two. Why was it there last night, and how do we keep it? Why has that been missing?
Good question, John. I touched on it with Tierney. It was different last night. The tempo was there. They were aggressive. They were pressing. There was more effort, and it was infectious. The crowd was lifting because of it as well, and it's infectious. It's infectious. The tempo, intensity, everything was there. The quick passing, and they two were like two bulldogs in the middle of the park, just into everything, winning the ball back, passing the ball first time. And we know Raskin is a good player. When he first came here, he was excellent, wasn't he? When he first came, but he's been hampered by injury in and out of the team. And he has one bad game and he's out the team. So you don't see him again for 2 or 3 weeks. So yeah, he was absolutely excellent. So was Barron. Barron was playing slightly further forward than Raskin in the up to number 8 position. So the two of them were excellent. They just covered so much ground. And Raskin was getting forward in a couple of shots as well. But his injury record's not been great for Raskin. There's definitely a player in there. And I've said this before, I prefer 2 guys with legs in the middle of the park. I know Diomandi's played in there, but he doesn't have that tenacity, that aggression. He's a more technical player. He can find passes and he's more technical, a nicer player. But 2 guys like that in the middle of the park, for me, all day, like they get in your faces and it's so hard to play against, and they get things going, and it's infectious, as I said.
It was infectious last night. For me, as I said, for me, one of those two is probably man of the match. But the great thing is, you could probably give it to 8 or 9 other players last night. And in all seriousness, there was Jeffy. I thought had a fantastic game, and we're not even going to mention him tonight. But I thought he had a really, really strong game. One player who's not going to be considered for man of the match was Dessers. I'm going to ask you about what you made of his performance, and if you read too much into his departure. I don't know if you've seen or read about it today. He came off the field and he was upset. He was very upset. He was straight up the tunnel. And when Clement was asked about it afterwards, he said he'd apologised in the dressing room, but for whatever reason he was very upset, and it wasn't entirely clear why he was upset, because nobody else in the ground was upset when he went off, just himself. And I'm being a little harsh there. It was interesting. Derek McInnes was asked about it after the match, and actually McInnes said, he's been unfairly criticised here. He occupied their centre halves. He dragged their centre halves out of position. He actually worked really hard for the team tonight, creating a lot of space for those other players to get into. Now, that maybe that's just something that you only get to see if you're a professional football manager and you understand certain things. I don't know, but for me, he didn't do a huge amount last night, and I think I can live with your centre forward not scoring goals when you're winning 4-0. I still get massively frustrated when your centre forward seems unable to take the ball with his back to goal and pass it to one of your own players. Time in, time out, he just seems to be unable to do that. He's a player that keeps coming up. What did you make of? I don't know. Did you see his departure last night? Are you aware of that? Did you understand that there was a bit of a strop, a bit of anger? Do you read too much into that, or is that just one of these things? Disappointed he did a bad game.
Yeah, I didn't really understand at the time what was going on. It was kind of weird just after the goal. I think the big man's just frustrated. I mean, he's been poor the last month or so.
Yeah.
He
started the season so well. Yeah.
Well, that's it. He had a great start. He was banging the goals in, but the goals have dried up now. And the last couple of games I've watched him try to link the play up, and it's bouncing off him. He's not holding the ball in, as you said. He's not bringing players into play. And every attack going through him is breaking down, and it's getting. The fans are getting his back as well a wee bit. I've heard a couple of groans and that, and it must be frustrating for him. But you need to show more if you're Rangers number 9 for me. Yeah. Simple as that. And it was quite ironic last night that he went off with sore eyes, because he's been giving me sore eyes for the last month. Mm-hmm. So, but his hold up play is poor. I like the big guy. I want him to do well. He scored 22 goals last year. We know that, and he gives us everything. But occupying defenders, you need, as a Rangers number 9, you need to give more than that. And he's been playing because we don't have anybody else. Simple as that. Danilo's been in and out of the team or injured a lot of the time, and Igamani's been held back a bit for development wise. So he's been doing it all himself, and I do feel sorry for him because he's probably played more minutes than he probably expected to. But for me, you need to be better than that. I mean, against Kilmarnock, he was absolutely shocking. He could have been pulled off at half time for me, and I'm surprised he wasn't. So I wasn't unhappy with him going off. It was kind of strange the way he came off, but I think the big man's frustrated. If he puts a couple of goals away, that doesn't happen. Do you know what I mean? And he had a poor night again. But I do like him. But maybe, hopefully, Igamani now, that's him up to speed. He's got his first goal. Hopefully, he can start to take the burden off him a bit, and they can start swapping minutes about and stuff like that. So we'll need to wait and see. But we might be injured. He might be out for a couple of weeks now with sore eyes or something. I don't know. We'll need to wait and see with that one as well. But I would hopefully like to see Igamani get a couple of starts, because we need to start development at this point. He's not going to develop by getting 15 minutes here and there when we take Dessers off after 70 odd minutes. So he was poor. He's been poor, Dessers. He needs to give us more. The goals are dried up, and we're not getting much else out of him.
So I mean, you mentioned Igamani. So you feel Igamani's warrants a start?
Well, this is the problem. He started against Hibs and he was kind of anonymous, wasn't he? So I don't know. We're bringing this guy in. We've spent a good bit of money on him. If we're going to develop him, then we need to give him more minutes. We can't just keep bringing on 10, 15 minutes at the end of games, and he needs a run in the team. I mean, he took his goal really well. He skint the ball.
Nice finish. Yeah.
Great finish, aye. And he came on and showed some glimpses. But yeah, as you said, the problem is when he starts too much. I showed against Hibs, and we're lucky to win that game. He was poor against them. But if we're building for the future, he's got to get more minutes for me. He's got to start more games and give Dessers a rest, because he can't do it all himself. And it was an interesting stat I read today. So he only got 30 minutes, and Dessers had 60 minutes. Igamani had 7 more touches than Dessers, 2 shots in goal, one goal. It just shows you, like...
Yeah. No, I mean, I read that myself, and I thought Giamani did quite well. I thought it was, probably his best performance for Rangers. And it will be interesting to see how the goal affects him. If that really does lift him, if he now, he's buzzing and ready to go. He's got that monkey off his back. He's got that goal. And we'll just see how that kind of deals with it. I'm not convinced he's ready to start as Rangers number 9. I don't know if he is ready there. I hear what you're saying about you got to give him minutes. Yeah, I think I'd still rather give him 30 minutes at the end and start him and have to hook him at half time. If he's not ready, he's not ready. We can have a discussion about, well, why did we buy him? We can have a discussion about, well, when will he be ready? If he's not ready, he's not ready. I also do think it is easy to come on with 30 minutes to go against a tiring defence. When you're 3 up, and I think that is definitely an easier shift than starting the game. But you can only judge him on what you see. And the last night I thought was the best I've seen of him. He did cause them some trouble. He held the ball up 2 or 3 times. He went closing down players. He worked hard while he was on, and that was great. The whole team did, and that was great. So I don't know. Does he keep his place for Sunday? I'd be surprised if he started. But like you say, it's so hard to try and second guess a Clermont team. Yeah. Maybe Lovelace will start, and it was great to see him back.
Maybe Danilo will start after getting 45 minutes as well.
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think Danilo starts. I think Danilo will, he'll at some point appear on the bench, and then he'll get 10 minutes, and then he'll get 15 minutes, and then at some point he'll get a start. And again, Danilo's a player. I still don't know if he's any good.
Yeah,
I still haven't figured out if he's any good. You've seen glimpses, but I've also seen him have absolute mares. So I still don't know if he's any good. And Dessers might just be the best one we've got still. I don't know if you caught any of the Hearts game before our game. I don't know if you saw any of that.
Saw the goals.
You watch them and you think, yep. I don't know why Shankman isn't playing for us, because it wasn't. It's the Conference League. I get that, but it's still a decent standard they're playing against, and he's got more to his game. I'm not suggesting he's the best player we're ever going to sign, but I still would like to see him at Rangers.
Well, I was the same as you. I would like to see him at Rangers as well, but with 3 strikers playing for one position we've got just now and big money, we're not going to bring him in, are we? Just not going to come in. We need to get rid of somebody. Yeah. Simple as that. Yeah. Who's going to buy Dessers or Danilo?
Well, no one's going to buy Danilo. Dessers,
maybe.
Dessers is one of these players. The problem with Dessers is if he's not scoring, he's not doing anything.
Yeah.
He has to be scoring goals. If he's scoring goals, and that's fine, you can carry him. If he's not scoring goals, then he isn't contributing, and that is an issue. There's always somebody on the lookout for a centre forward.
Yeah,
particularly in January.
Yeah, I was going to say that he's going to be free in end of the year, and we can maybe negotiate a cut price deal for him in January. We'll wait and see if that interest comes back up again. I wouldn't be surprised if we do, to be honest with you. But,
I think every single player in our team's for sale. If someone comes in with the right money, we'll take it.
Definitely.
Last thing on last night, I thought, and you've mentioned it, there was a definite reaction from the players. They were criticised, and rightly criticised on Sunday. People were very unhappy with them. They were unhappy with the management. They were unhappy with the board. It was just, we spoke about this before going on. There was an element of, well, you could see it coming. We could all see it coming. Performances had been poor, and that result had been coming, and it came as no surprise. Last night they were up for it. They lifted the crowd. Last night they turned in a good performance. Couple of questions here. Does that kind of demonstrate to those of us who might have been, wavering? Does that demonstrate to us that Clermont does actually know what he's doing? And B, does it demonstrate that those players want to play for him? That they felt the defeat, and they came out fighting.
That
silence said a lot there, Grant.
I'm not sure a win via FCSB is going to change fans' opinion. I think some fans have already turned on Clement already and made their mind up. He definitely needed that result last night. He needed a reaction. We needed it. The players needed it. So, but
it was the performance more than the result. Well, I mean, the 4-0 is a wonderful result. Yeah. But for me, it was the performance. It was the fact that so many of them put in a performance last night. You looked the part last night. That's what made me pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, I mean, I think that shows they are playing for the manager. But we've got a habit, John. We've got a habit of getting a big result when we need it, and then next week we fall flat on our face, and we're back to square one again, and then we regroup, we get another result, and then it happens again over and over again. We've been done with it so many times. So I don't know. I mean, it was a lot better last night. I expected us to win, though. We should be beating Steaua Bucharest at home. Let's be honest. If you said to me we get 6 points out of 9 for the first 3 games, I would have bitten your hand off for it. So yeah, I mean, I expect us to win on Sunday as well, to be fair. But I don't expect us to go and win at Pittodrie on Wednesday, and that will be the big one. If we go and lose that and go 9 points behind Aberdeen, I don't see any way back. I don't see fans. I mean, I've seen fans on social media already turned and saying, I've had it. So I don't know. That result last night won't change a thing. I don't think another 4-0 spanking of St Mirren will change it. I think the big one will be next Wednesday when we go up to Pittodrie. The jury's still out in Clement for me. The players are clearly playing for him. I mean, you see the results against Malmo and the performance against Malmo and the performance against Steaua last night. They're obviously playing for him, but I don't know.
So if they're playing for him, what's the issue? If they're playing for him, then what's your issue with them?
I mean, it's a style of play. We've said it so many times. There's no style of play. I don't know what he's trying to do. I just don't. It's the same rigid formation every week, and the substitutions is like for like. I mean, during the week, against Kilmarnock, it was like for like. Raskin came on, like for Barron. It's just like for like. There's no change of system. There's no plan B. I don't see what he's trying to do. So I think that's been labelled at him for quite a while. It's boring to watch. It's slow. It's pedestrian. Last night was totally different. Why? Why are we not doing that every week? It's frustrating. He must be tearing. Well, can't be tearing his hair out, but he must be tearing his leg hair out. I mean, watching that every
I'm really pleased you said leg hair when I saw your hand go down there.
It must be so frustrating. It's so frustrating for us. So why can these players not put in performance for that every single week? We seem to domestically we're really, really poor. We can't break teams down. I know the European teams don't sit back and do the low block and all that, but these guys are international footballers. They should be able to break teams down. And I think we're too defensive sometimes. There's always 6 guys in the kind of defensive unit, the back 4 and the middle 2, and then the 4 are cracking. I think we're too defensive sometimes with this low block, and we need to be a bit more braver on the ball, move the ball quicker. And yeah, it was totally different last night. Why can't we replicate that against Kelly at the weekend? It's just so frustrating, John.
I think if Kelly came out, or St Mirren as it will be this Sunday, and we'll talk about St Mirren now, I think if St Mirren, came to Ibrox trying to win the match, we would, you could play that way. But you said yourself, when you play a flat back 10 and you're playing for a draw from the first minute, then, I've seen better Rangers teams than this one struggle to break down a well-drilled, fit Scottish defence. But that's what we're up against, and there's no point in pretending otherwise. You don't want to do anything in our league, you've got to be able to beat those teams. You've got to be able to beat that type. You've got to get past that type of performance. And in the end, the team across the city are able to do that. So there's no reason why we shouldn't do that. When you look at the budgets we've got compared to St Mirren, we should be beating St Mirren. And like you, it will be hugely disappointing if we don't beat St Mirren. I don't have the same. You're not alone. In fact, you're probably closer to the majority view regarding the trip to Pittodrie and what it would mean if we lose. I don't agree with you. I think even if we did lose that one, there's a hell of a long way still to go this season. Aberdeen, the wheels will come off Aberdeen at some point. They're riding just now. They've got a new manager that's all worked out well for them. They've been very lucky with their fixtures. They got a great result at Parkhead, but we'll see. The wheels will come off that at some point, and we'll see. We'll see how that all pans out. And if they have a squad for it, etc. As I said, we'll see. Going to Pittodrie, even crap Aberdeen teams give us a hard game at Pittodrie. This is one that's playing quite well. So yes, it will be a hard game. So let's just wait and see. But I do think that, and I'm jumping ahead to Pittodrie, I think Aberdeen will come out to try and win. Oddly enough, I think that will suit us. I think that actually might play to our strengths as opposed to, if they just sit back and do the low block and play like Kilmarnock, then that doesn't suit us and we struggle to break that down. But anyway, that's for someone else to look forward to. We've got St Mirren to look forward to. So we've touched upon it, we've danced around it. What's your starting 11? What changes do you see? I think Balogun doesn't start. It was cramp apparently went off with. So I would think if Proper is fit, Proper will start and Balogun won't. And Lawrence, I'm fairly certain, isn't going to play. Even if his injury turns out not to be too serious, I just can't see him playing on Sunday. That means a change up front, and I'm not entirely sure if that means, but like you say, Bajami comes into the middle and maybe McCausland comes into the team. Maybe Igamani and Dessers play, and he puts Igamani wide. I don't know. What do you think? What do you see any other changes? What's your starting 11?
Yeah, I think you're right about Balogun. You'll see Proper come back in. I know Proper trained full training all week anyway, so I'm guessing he'll come back in. The Lawrence one, again, we'll need to see how bad that is, but no doubt he'll be out for a good while. I've been interested one. I don't know what he'll do. I think Bajrami has been playing out left. He's done okay. It's not his natural position. I'd like to see him when he's in the 10, but we don't really have a natural left-sided winger. McCausland, yeah. I mean, he's back fit again. He could play there. Could we also bring in Robbie Fraser at left back, move Jeffy one forward?
Or maybe I remember the Dutch boy whose name I still can't say.
Casemiro, yeah.
Yeah, well done. See that? It's like, I'll line these up for you, Grant, to stick them away at the back post like that.
That's it. There's another one. He could play left back as well.
And or he plays at left back and they put Jeffy forward. Yeah, I mean, there are options open to us. None of them are as good as what we would have. But I think McCausland's let us down. I think he's unlucky to be out of the team just now, McCausland. I was surprised he didn't get any minutes last night. Although I think he was injured. I think I read he was injured and then he was away internationals. Yeah. So maybe he's just right. If I don't have to put you on, I'm not going to let you get back to full strength. I don't know. But like you say, and of course there may be other niggles and knocks that we don't know about. But yeah, I think those are the kind of two areas that will change. And I'm interested to see what he does because for probably the first time this season, it does look like he's got options up front. I was pleased to see Lovelace come back in. I think there's a player there, and I do think there's a player there. Now, he's young. I don't think you can build a team around him. I don't think you can expect him to, having been out for a fairly long period. He's only played B team football. I don't imagine we're going to throw him in against St Mirren, but he's an option to have off the bench. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see. St Mirren aren't in good form just now. They've not really had a great start to the season. European football early on, I think got them all excited, and I think they're on a wee bit of a downer since then. They get absolutely hammered by Hearts at the weekend, albeit Hearts have a kind of new manager bounce. But I think they showed last season that there's a decent team there. They're well organised and they can still cause us some problems. So, again, how do we break them down? What do we have to do? Is it just a matter of getting an early goal? Is it just a matter of like you say, bringing that energy, bringing that drive to the first half hour, getting that early goal, in which case you force them out? Then they have to come out and play and you hope to pick them off. Do we have the players to do that? Are we in for a frustrating Sunday afternoon, or do you think, no, we've got enough to beat St Mirren?
Yeah, I don't know. We need to do everything we did last night. Move the ball quicker, get in their faces. Win the ball back up the park, and getting an early goal is ideal. It settles everybody down. You know what Ibrox is like if you haven't scored after 20 seconds. You know what I mean? They're on the players' back. So yeah, early goal.
They weren't on the players' backs last night. Interestingly enough, I thought the crowd was good last night because I thought, crowd might be funny tonight, and the crowd weren't. The crowd were good last night. Now, Thursday night in Europe was different from Sunday against St Mirren, but I was pleased with the crowd last night. I thought the crowd played their part.
They did, but that's because the players did their job in the park from the off. They were flying into tackles, sprinting after the ball, chasing players down in their faces, but everything we want to see, and that gets crowds going.
Yeah.
As I said, Tierney getting the crowds going, it just gets us going. I don't know why us Scottish people love that kind of play that we do.
Oh, no, we'll cheer a tackle as much as a goal.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, you want to see a player do it. There's nothing better than an absolute full-blooded 50-50 to get the blood churning through you.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, yeah, they'll come to frustrate. You know that they'll sit with the 2 banks of 4 and just maybe 2 banks of 5 at points. But it's up to us to break them down. We've got international players all over that team. We should have enough to break them down. So yeah, they came off an absolute spanking off. Was it 4-0? I think it was last week.
Yeah, it was 4-0.
So, but we came off a bad result as well domestically. But we should be a bit more positive after last night. A bit more positive, a bit more belief in ourselves, and we know what we can do. We've got good players there. We're a decent team when we're at it, but we're not at it enough for me. We're not consistent enough. So we'll wait and see. But I do fancy us to get over the line on Sunday.
Yeah. I don't think that's ridiculous. We've touched upon it. Injuries creeping back in. As I said, but not for Lawrence. Balogun is a knock. We're coming into that busy fixture period where you're playing 2 games a week. We've got cup semi-finals coming up. Hopefully, a cup final if we get through that. The run between now and Christmas is busy. Big games in Europe, followed by difficult games in the league. And we'll see players pick up knocks. It's just inevitable. You can't legislate for anything else. Do you have faith in our fringe players? You said something very interesting earlier about giving Gamani games. Giving him time. You want to develop, and you got to give him time. And it's an interesting thing to say because that's one thing you don't get at Rangers. Our support don't give, even young players, they don't give young players time. You're not good enough, the support will let you know very, very quickly. Richard Gough used to say that at Rangers you're only as good as your last pass. There's some truth in that. We can be a hard support, particularly at home. And it's kind of difficult sometimes to throw young players into that or fringe players. But I don't know if we've got any choice. And I'm wondering if we'll see some on Sunday. I wonder if you might just see a few guys rested because I don't know what mileage Barron and Raskin covered last night, but it was a decent amount. And it wouldn't be a huge surprise if Raskin. I don't think it'd be a huge surprise if Raskin's rested, for example, because he's been out. I wonder just how fit he is. But what do you do? Do you introduce them into a game like St Mirren? Is that fair, or do we have any choice?
I think we've got a couple of more options coming back. Obviously, McCausland's back in. But we forgot about Dejon Sterling, who was an absolute mainstay in our team. He's back in the bench as well at the weekend, so he can come in at left back or centre midfield. He's played there before, so he's covered there as well. Casemiro, I actually forgot, it was a good one he said there. He can come in at left back. He played left back for the under-21 Dutch team and had 2 assists, by the way. So he can play in there as well. So I think we've got Ridvan coming back. He's in full training again. Danilo's won't be far away. We've got Matondo coming back. So yeah, we are going to be missing probably Lawrence long term. Balogun maybe not so much, but yeah, I think we've got a decent enough squad we've still got Diomande come back in as well. Forgot about him. So we've still got a decent enough squad to deal with these injuries just now. With the youngsters, as you said, Lovelace, he's obviously been brought back into the first team after he's shown his 45 minutes for the B team the other night. So he's an option. I don't think these guys are going to start because they just won't. They come on for 30 minutes when we're 2 or 3 up and they can ease into the game and play at Ibrox, that kind of thing. Same with Rice as well. We've got Robbie Fraser there. There's guys that can come in and do a job, but are they going to start? Probably not. I think it was telling that Clermont never started Robbie Fraser in the Old Firm game and we had no left backs to play. So yeah, well, we need to wait and see. But
strangest contract extension ever.
Well, yeah,
I'm baffled by that. I'm baffled when we offered it to him, and B, I'm even more baffled he signed it. You think, boy, you need to get, for the good of his career, he needs to start playing football. He's too old. He needs to be playing football every week. And if that means stepping down a division or obviously stepping down in the type of club, he needs to do it. He needs to go and start playing football again.
Yeah, this has been a topic in our WhatsApps for a while, and yeah, it was a strange one. But he's 21. maybe send him out on loan, give him 6 months, play first team football, and then see how he does. I mean, he won't be on a big wage. He's still got time to develop into a decent player. They obviously see potential in him. But yeah, give him a 6 month loan deal, bring him back and see if he's going to be any good. If not, maybe get 100 grand back from your paid his costs anyway, you know, his wages and stuff like that. But yeah, we've not really seen much of him at all.
Nobody's giving you 100 grand for Robbie Fraser.
Well, 50 grand then. But, you know, he's like in a low risk. He's low risk, isn't he? Really, maybe high reward later on. He's low risk. He's not going to cost a lot of money. But I don't know, he doesn't really throw young guys in. And I know Lovelace and Rice are a lot younger, but yeah, I'd like to see them get
Rice hasn't really had much of a look in under Clement. I mean, Rice looked like, you know, he was one of Beale's favourites. I mean, you know, so start of last season, you know, Rice was around the first team and looked like a proper find. And then Clement came in, and I was thinking, oh, that's great. You know, these Dutch guys, they know how to develop young players, and Rice nowhere near the first team. Now he's appearing on the bench now, but I'm not sure if that's because, you know, we're allowed to put so many young Scottish players on the bench, or whether, I mean, I don't actually know if Rice qualifies. Is he qualified yet? Because he officially came from Motherwell, so I don't know if he's nation trained but not club trained. So I don't know. I'm not entirely sure how it sits. But I know he was on the bench. But you know, I'd be amazed if he gets a game. Devine doesn't seem to be getting a look in anymore. The guy player I thought looked okay when I initially saw him, but didn't really work out at Motherwell. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see if any of these guys can push through. I'm hopeful with Lovelace, but well, time will tell.
The problem is, John, that the games we've been playing at Ibrox, when you bring them on, maybe you're 3-0 up, 20 minutes to go. We've not had that. We've been scraping by Ibrox, you know, 1-0 wins here and there. So we've no time. And, you know, if you bring a guy on, you lose a game, the manager's going to pound you, and it's not a nice environment to be in. So we've not had that. We've not had the time to bring them in. So maybe the next couple of months, if we get 2 or 3 up at home, give them 30 minutes, relaxed atmosphere, and they can go and express themselves. But we've not had a chance to bring them in because we've been scraping by recently.
Yeah, that's true. There's no Bobby Flex or Ian Durant's going to come on and score for us, I don't think, this weekend. Grant, thanks for your time. Appreciate you giving it up. We're overran our allotted time that Frankie gives us on a Friday night. So I do appreciate you giving your Friday night up. Are you heading off up the dancing now, Grant? Is that where you're heading off now?
I'm going to my cot, John.
Okay, I'll believe you. Thousands wouldn't. Listen, thanks for joining us. And just to remind everybody, if you want to catch the pod or any past pods or future pods, you can find us on Acast, iTunes, YouTube, Castbox, Stitcher, and of course Spotify. If you enjoy the pod, and if you want to maybe see if there are other ones in the future and you don't want to miss them, we would advise you to subscribe and urge you to subscribe. And also, if you enjoy what we're saying, you know, tell people about it. We would be pleased with that. Just a reminder, it's a 3 p.m. kickoff on Sunday. Which means that you should be able to even use the underground to get home, because they won't have shut it just yet. Well, we've caught them out on this one. And there's a pod on Sunday night where Brian will be joined by Scott and Chris. So thanks very much for joining us. Thanks again to Grant for his thoughts tonight, and good night.